Good evening, everybody. Just responding to Ron Paul's leading the polls in Iowa and the mainstream media shock. They are just absolutely, they don't know what to do with themselves. And I think it's just so funny and entertaining because I've never seen them in this state before. They've had such a lockdown on everything until the internet came about. And the internet is such a wonderful thing. That's why all these bills are being passed, the Pirating Act or whatever it is called, where they're basically trying to stop piracy, even though the companies that are distributing the movies uh, through the legal market are the ones that are actually pirating the movies. But that's a whole nother subject. Anyways, I was watching the interview with Ron Paul that was done, I believe, on the 23rd of December 2011 with Fox News, and it was called Ron Paul Leads Iowa Polls, or a new poll says Ron Paul's leading Iowa. And the funny thing is when it opened up, the announcer, and I forget his name because it's really not important, just another peon of the establishment. But anyways, he opened up with, I'm standing here in front of News Corp, the parent company of Fox News, and upon him claiming that it was being the most important news network in the world, one person was like, "Woo!" and he stops and he was like, you can cheer if you like. And I was like, yeah. But they really just wanted to be on TV. They didn't really care. It was a very small crowd. It's evidence of Fox News losing its grip on the public, which is very encouraging because Fox News has some of the most brainwashed, biased viewers that you can imagine. Now, not to say that MSNBC, it comes in a close second. You got these quote unquote liberals, which the definition of a liberal has been skewed and switched, and a liberal isn't even about what it is now in this day and age. The actual word of liberal is to liberate, to free, so you're not dependent. But the liberals today, the quote unquote liberals, they're dependent on the government system, so they're not liberals. So I want everyone to understand that and know that when you hear that term, that it is totally false. So everything about the system is false. But moving on. So basically, the commentator states that a revolution could be in the making and asks if Ron Paul was surprised. And Ron Paul was pleasantly surprised. That's what he said. The humility once again coming out. He was talking about if he was surprised if Terry Branstad, the Iowa governor, or the governor of Iowa, he said that if Ron Paul wins the Iowa caucus, that it doesn't count. And Ron Paul responded, of course, with a lot of humility. And he said that, well, I'm surprised because, I've talked to him and, he's been very supportive in the past. However, due to the way things were going, it's not unexpected. So he expects a lot of people who got their positions due to cronyism to basically follow suit and to stay and try to preserve their positions. But of course, again, the public is very aware of what's going on right now, and they're doing their own research. They're tired of being lied to, So, and then basically he was saying, the criticism helps. The criticism helps because, well, it's just publicity. The more they try to attack Ron Paul, and the more they try to beat him up, the better he does. And because a lot of people are like, well, let me look. I really want to see any racist comments. And unfortunately, they don't find any racist comments. I've looked them up. I tried to see Ron Paul saying something racist, and I can't find it. Now, I find newsletters and people commentating on his newsletters, but he was the editor. Now, actually addressing that very issue, and he asked him about that, And the peon asked him about his newsletters concerning the racist comments, and he said, basically, I admit to the charge of being, quote unquote, negligent as a publisher. Okay. And he said, but the ironic thing is, and not these, when I say he said ironic thing, I'm saying my own words. But he says, it's funny because being a libertarian, uh, you champion civil liberties regardless of race, creed, or color. Okay, so everything about libertarianism or libertarianism is the exact opposite of anybody being racist. A racist cannot exist in a libertarian environment. It just can't, because everyone has a right, excuse me, everyone has a right to be themselves, have their own view, and not be in a group or be confined to a group where, you're black, so you need to hang out with black people. You're white, you need to hang out with white people. You're Mexican, you need to hang out with Mexican. By the way, if you're Mexican, you gotta speak Spanish. No, that's not what happens. So that's the real deal. And and Ron Paul also pointed out that CNN did a poll themselves, and amongst minorities, Paul does the best out of all conservatives. Quite interesting. So the other thing is, he's like, for all the Paul bots and the Paul supporters who think Ron Paul's perfect, which I haven't ran into one, to be honest. Everyone knows that Ron Paul's not perfect. He's not. He's a little scrawny white dude, pretty old, but he got great views, and that's one thing we've gone away from. I mean, if you look at your magazines in the supermarket, what do you see? These quote unquote perfect people. Now, they're not even perfect. I mean, they're airbrushed and photoshopped and all that nonsense. So it's really irritating when I read a comment on any news article when it says, well, y'all just think Ron Paul's perfect and you're going to be sadly disappointed, just like all the Obama people and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, we don't think Ron Paul's perfect. It's just that, look, he's been consistent. And we at least want someone to be consistent. And that's it. That's what it boils down to. The media is running scared, and rightfully so. People are waking up. They're angry. You're not going to starve people and get away with it. You're not going to take their money and get away with it. And the internet is such a double-edged sword. I mean, that's why Rupert Murdoch is sitting there endorsing the internet bill to shut it down. This guy has failure after failure in internet businesses. He tried to buy MySpace, but tried to make it a commercialized thing. And it's not. It was a public forum. It was a way for people to communicate, not buy stuff. And he can't get that. And a lot of these people can't get that. They're so greedy that they will try something and it'll fail miserably, and they'll wonder why. Well, I just don't understand. What we need to do is control people even more. It's not gonna work. Try to control the weather, and you are trying to control the weather. But that's another thing, and that's my own opinion. So for all you Ron Paul supporters who don't believe that, I agree with you. Go ahead. I'm letting my own beliefs go into another level, and I didn't actually mean to do that. But what I mainly did this video for was, hey, I love it. I'm very encouraged, and it's looking more and more likely that Ron Paul might take this nation by storm. And I pray to God that he does exactly what he says. And his voting record says he does. So, anyways, also take a look at whatreallyhappened.com. And there's a video of African Americans supporting Ron Paul. And I was very encouraged, and I loved watching it. And basically, they're seeing through the nonsense, and they're breaking the stereotype of African Americans being the ignorant fools running around trying to beat people up for Nike Air Jordans, which are completely worthless, and a lot of kids practically starved to death and were overworked making those shoes. And what you did was just absolutely atrocious, and I was embarrassed. I still love my people, and I love people all together. And when I say my people, I mean people of the world. As I'm just as embarrassed when a white person is racist towards anybody or ignorant towards even their own race. I'm embarrassed. As a human race, we have to come together, and we got to overthrow these people. The division has to stop. The Republican, Democrat, the liberal, conservative crap got to stop. The jihadists, drop it. The Christians, drop it. You can still hold on to your beliefs. Keep it to yourself. And let's unite. Let's make this a utopia. We can do it. But as long as we buy into whatever they tell us, it's not going to work. Understand that. Peace and love. All right, guys. Take it easy. RP 2012.